On this Memorial Day, we honor all those who have died in military service for the United States. We honor them by remembering their contribution to freedom and their contribution to humanity. The honor is not in the dying, but in the service. But it is often through those that survive war that we learn this respect and hope to glean from history a new understanding. Colonel Gale Halverson, a retired career officer and command pilot in the United States Air Force, embodies the honor earned by our military men and women during times of war. He said, "Service is the bottom line to happiness and fulfillment." During World War II, he flew in foreign transport operations in the South Atlantic Theater. At the end of World War II, the Soviets, afraid of Western influence, adopted an aggressive foreign policy, taking over the many Eastern European nations they had occupied during the war. The divided city of Berlin was the one pocket of Western influence inside the Soviet bloc. In order to crush this one area of opposition, on June 24, 1948, the Soviet Army began the Berlin blockade, closing off all land and water routes into and out of the city. In response, the Americans and British resorted to the one route left into the city, the sky. Halverson and other American pilots took part in what became known as the Berlin Airlift. They flew tons of food and supplies into the beleaguered city. The then Lieutenant Halverson remembers,
"I'll never forget my first flight to Berlin. From the air, the city looked like a moonscape. How could 2 million people live in a place like this? I couldn't wait to deliver the 20,000 pounds of flour we had on board. Berlin needed food and freedom. We had both. The wounds of war started to heal."
Still, the citizens of Berlin barely had enough to get by. They could have gone over to the Soviet sector at any time for all the supplies they would need. They refused, putting the value of freedom over food. The children of the city understood this well. Their selflessness inspired Lieutenant Halverson to do something great for the children of the city. He soon became immortalized as the Berlin Candy Bomber. When Lieutenant Halverson first met 20 or so children at Tempelhof Airport, he was touched that they asked for nothing from him. He only had 2 sticks of gum to give them, not enough for everyone, but even then, the children passed around the wrapper so everyone could smell it. Halverson was so moved, he decided to donate his weekly candy ration to the children from his plane. He would wiggle the wings of his plane as a sign that he was about to drop candy. Word of his plan soon spread to his fellow pilots, and Halverson soon had all the candy he needed. The candy drop was a huge success with the children, but when Halverson was called before his commanding officer, he was sure he would be court-martialed for making an unauthorized drop. However, to his surprise, the candy bombings would actually become a part of the official American operation, with much support from civilians back home. The American people, under the leadership of Gale Halverson, saw a need for humanity in a burned-out, suffering, war-stricken area. These children needed to experience the world in a simple, less dramatic way, and Halverson and the U.S. Air Force had the guts and tenacity to do something about it. Honor is the guts and tenacity to act when there is a need. Our service men and women throughout our history as a nation have consistently exemplified this action. So on this Memorial Day, we should remember our fallen, listen to the experiences of those that remain, and look around our communities and give in service to others to honor those who gave their lives for our country, the United States. This is a simple 5-minute message for change.